Yeah, it's been great being back here the last couple of weeks. We were here obviously a few years ago and just loved my year. I loved our players. Had a blast working for Coach Rick and obviously with Manny and the defensive staff. A lot of fun. I love the beach. I love the weather down here. I feel like it's been 73 and sunny every single day. Getting reconnected with some of the guys that I knew while I was here, some of the kids that I recruited and signed and then left. Now getting a chance to coach them kind of feels like a chance to get a do-over. But in watching their tape, you go, man, that's what I thought this kid could be, and there's potential for that to happen. So that's encouraging. And just to see some of the great things that have happened here in Miami in this football program the last 2 years, whether it's facilities getting finished or seeing kids developed or seeing the staff grow and change. All that stuff's really exciting for me. I always say the most important decisions you make in your life are people decisions. And, Trish and I know we're around great people. So we're fired up to be back.
Awesome. Coach, we're going to start with Gary Furman from CaneSport. Gary?
Hey, Jess, welcome back. Can you talk a little bit about, obviously you were here before and you made a decision to go back to the National Football League. Talk a little bit about why you made that decision, what you found when you got back to the NFL, and what made you have the desire right now to come back to the U as opposed to maybe finding another job in the National Football League or another school?
Well, it's a fair question. I've even talked to some of the fellas about it. It's the whole thing of, I was a high school football coach in 2016 and then got an opportunity to be an assistant D-line coach with the Falcons. And then Coach Rick and Coach Diaz were good enough to give me an opportunity to come here. And Atlanta's home to me. Buford High School, where I coached for 22 years, our high school and where I live was literally 7 miles from the Atlanta Falcons practice facility. So that literally is home. And when Coach Dan Quinn called and offered me the chance to come back and be the defensive line coach, I just think for me, I told the players, it's kind of like being a player, an opportunity once in a lifetime. There's only 32 of those guys in the world having defensive line jobs in the NFL. And to have that opportunity to work for a guy like DQ, to go back and work with a Grady Jarrett or a Tyler Davidson or an Alan Bailey, I mean, all those things for me, the assistant coaches there, the guys that I work with, it wasn't that I was leaving for a reason to leave Miami. Obviously, it was just, man, this is an opportunity that, when I left Buford in 2016, I didn't think I was going to be coaching the NFL and be a defensive line coach here in a couple of years. I didn't, all my contacts and all the people I've known and spent time with my whole life were high school coaches and college coaches through recruiting and having kids. So I always picture myself as a college coach, and I love the development and the teaching aspect of it. My time in Atlanta was amazing. Those players were a blast. I enjoyed coming to work every day. I love seeing them have success. Unfortunately, we didn't have the success we wanted to have as a team the last 2 years, obviously. But coming back here was an easy decision. Manny called me and said that, I always say this, man, having a chance to go where somebody really wants you. And then for me, having a chance to come back to a place where I was familiar with the scheme and with the people and the place, man, that was, when that was thrown out there, that wasn't a hard decision for me and my family.
Awesome. Coach, we're going to go to David Ferrones at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Welcome back to Miami. You mentioned the guys that were here back in 2018 last time you were around. I'm guessing like Nessa Silvera, Jonathan Ford. What was their reaction to having you back? And also, can you detail how improved you see those guys, from how you remember them back then?
Well, and Jordan Miller's in that crew as well. It's been great getting back with them. I think I told them, I said, guys, just like players, we're the same as coaches. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And I said, I feel like I'm 2 years better as a coach. And I know you guys are 2 years better. And to see, they've obviously matured as young men. They've grown as players. And I think there's tons of potential for all three of those guys you just mentioned to really take another step in their game. With the work they've done in the offseason, the strength they've gained, their speed has improved. Their knowledge of the game has grown. And I think we can go to another place. So that's been a lot of fun for me to get back plugged into that part of it as well.
Coach, we've got Manny Navarro from The Athletic. Manny, go ahead.
Hey, welcome back, Coach Simpson. I wanted to ask, I know it's a national signing day, obviously no new recruits to talk about, but I want to ask you about DeAndre Johnson, who is obviously coming over from Tennessee, just your early impressions of him. And then also, from a recruiting standpoint, what you're looking for in these next couple classes, traits that maybe just mean a lot to you when it comes to defensive tackle and defensive end.
Yeah, start with DeAndre. Really excited coming in, meeting him. And first of all, just a person, man. He is got a great spirit about him. He is a good kid. You turn on his tape, man. He's physical. He's been coached. I think he's got a tremendous chance to come in and obviously make an impact for us this year immediately. But I know he's got another place that he wants to go as a player, and I think I can help take him there. So fired up to get to work with him. Fired about the person and the player. Traits that I'm looking for in defensive linemen, man, when you're at the University of Miami, it is about being disruptive. It's about being vertical. We pride ourselves. I know that the last year I was here, I think we were number one in the country in TFLs. So we were top 10 in sacks. I think we were number one in third downs. And to me, that speaks to the style of play that you have up front. We are vertical penetrators, and we're going to move a bunch. These guys are going to get to stunt. And I think there's a bunch of defenses and a bunch of colleges you look at where guys play sideline to sideline. They're on the line, down the line of scrimmage, and that's great. It's just not us. We're looking for guys that can run out of their stance, play with great fundamentals, but we want to tackle the back in the backfield, and we want to affect the quarterback. And so I'm looking for athletes. I'm looking for vertical, athletic, three-technique bodies to play inside, and I'm looking for length and speed on the edges. Guys that are strong enough to set edges, but guys that are athletic enough to win and bend on edges.
Thanks.
Coach, we've got time for a couple more. We're going to go to Susan Miller-Degnan at the Miami Herald. Susan, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, welcome back.
Thank you, Susan.
So you worked with Mark Richt before, right? As a coach, and Manny was there, obviously, as a coordinator. Just wondering about the differences, maybe, in coaching styles, personalities, philosophy, and also what it's going to be like to go back to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, right, to start the season. What's that like?
No doubt. That'll be fun to go back home and get to see a bunch of family, and hopefully COVID's passed by us and that place will be packed, and that'll be a lot of fun. The differences and similarities, what's similar is those guys are authentic. They're who they are. Coach Rick, as you guys, everybody well known, just the person and the leader he is and still is and was obviously here as the head coach. He had his style and his way of doing things. Obviously, he was an offensive head coach. Today, Manny spoke to the defense, and it was funny. I said something to him afterwards, speaking at a lot of like high school clinics about like leading your high school program. I've always said to guys, remember why you got the job. I think when you become the head coach, you always have to remember why you got the job. And like hearing Manny talk to our defense today, he sounded so at home and so on point and so on message. Manny's here because of the job he did as the defensive coordinator at the University of Miami. And this is his town. This is his people. This is his place. And Manny is just, Manny is a really, really smart guy. He's got great people skills. I think the kids know and love and respect and trust him. He's just true to him. And I think, that's the fun part about it when you're working with guys who know who they are and they know what they want to do. They know the people they want to surround themselves with. You know the direction of the program and you know where you're going. I think that's what gives you a chance to be successful.
Thanks.
Coach, this is the last one for you. We got Barry Jackson from the Miami Herald. Barry, go ahead.
Hi, Jess. Aside from DeAndre Johnson, you don't really have a defensive end who's played a ton there. Obviously, McLeod moving from linebacker. You have 6 to 8 young guys, Chance Williams, Cameron Williams, Harvey's played some. Do you have any sense what you have with those 6 to 8 young defensive ends? And I was going to ask you, just for housekeeping, are Blissett and Elijah Roberts ends or tackles for you?
Well, I'll talk to the ends first. The first two things I see are potential and competition. Like all those guys are in the same boat. And the cool thing is, I think all of them have great traits and attributes about them. They all can be special. And it's what we do now all the way through coming up into spring and through the summer, into fall camp, and through the season is going to determine who separates themselves. Obviously, I always say this to players, like good tape is speed of play. Speed of play is knowing how to play fast, and it's also conditioning. speed of play is also having enough guys ready to play. All those guys are going to have a chance to contribute, but they got to earn the right to do it. They got to compete. But man, every one of those guys, I'm fired up about coaching. What was the second part of that one?
Yes, just on Blissett and Elijah Roberts. Jess, are they
inside guys? Yeah, no doubt. Those are the athletic, penetrating, 3-technique bodies that I recruited and wanted here. You know, we just value, you know, we got to have size and strength, but we value movement skills, ability to redirect. And just as I'm going through recruiting right now, trying to identify those guys with those traits, you know, speed wins and speed kills, and that's what we're going for.
Thank you.